Hello, I'm back today with number 3 in my Alice postcard project. I've chosen this card, which is Curator and Curator cried Alice. So I have the page out the Alice book for this part of the story, and I have chosen as my background a patterned piece from this page in the Stamperia Alice book to get us started. So my plan would be to put this as a background, so that makes the background nice and easy, but I'm going to use the image from the book. So I'm going to tear around this and I'm going to use the words Curator and Curator from this page, but I'm also going to add some texture to this one using some texture paste and see how that goes today. So first up, we're going to put this down onto the postcard. Just around the edges. This doesn't quite cover everything, but I don't mind because we'll be doing some texture paste and maybe adding some colour to the texture paste. Make sure that's well stuck down and there's no glue coming out the edges. So to tear this out, I'm going to use some water around the edge and then just hopefully tear it apart. This is how I tear out parts of rice paper or napkin. The paper just will hopefully come away and leave a nice soft torn edge that will just blend, fingers crossed, into the background. I'll need to watch that I'm not going to tear my curator. I might just cut that bit out before. Let's just cut my curator out because I want those words. And I don't want to tear them. Yeah, we can keep them safe for later on. So the water should have quickly seeped in. This paper's quite thin, so it just comes away quite easily. I'll keep that because that could be used as a background at some other point. Don't want quite as much of this shadow. I'll take some of that off. Thinking I want less of that shadow. That's better. Could just play around with it. Could play around with it all day, but I'm going to stop there. Okay, so yes, I think we'll go ahead and put that on. And then, because I'm going to add the texture paste, but after the texture paste I'm going to add some watercolour paint. And because I'm going to do that, I want to add a layer of gesso so that my watercolours will take nicely to this background. There, because we tore that round, it blends in. Can you see it? Sort of blends into the edges, round the edges. Yeah. So next we want to use some gesso. This is transparent gesso, and we will just give it a quick coat all the way around. And this gives the paint, the watercolour paint, I don't know how to describe it, but for me it turns it into watercolour paper, sort of. It gives it the watercolours something to cling on to and to spread, and so that the colours will go on nicely. So I think that's pretty much done. Put that back on. It's done. Put that in the water. And just wipe that off. So that'll dry nice and clear, and I'm going to whiz it through the heat gun, and I'll be back in a minute. So I used the heat gun and it's all nice and dry now. You can see it's fine. It's all ready for the next layer, which is texture paste. So I'm going to use the texture paste, and it's Daler Rowney. Whoops, dropped the thing. And I'm going to use this stencil, Sugar Pea Designs, and it's called, doesn't have a name, but I would say it's called Brick Wall or something like that. And I quite fancy, I chose this because the squares here, I thought it sort of matched. So I want to do some texture, starting off with a narrow bit and kind of going to a slightly bigger bit down there. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it goes. So pretty good. Just lift this off and just get those wee edge bits. Tidy it up a little bit. There we are. Yeah. So put this away. Clean the stencil a little bit. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to give this a blast with the heat gun and I'll be back in a minute. Hi. I'm back and the texture piece is now nice and dry, so we're ready to add some colour. I thought I would try and pick up the peachy pinky colour of the surround there, see how that goes. I'm going to use my Kuretake watercolours. I've picked out 2 of the colours that I think might, I've had a wee play around and I think they might make a colour that I want. So I'm just going to grab some of that. I've just got water in a dish up here, let me see. Yuck. And a little bit of that, and we'll see how that goes. And some of that. A little spare bit of card here, see how the colour is. I'll just move these up here. Made a little bit of a mess here. Just right, so we want that nice and watery so that it runs a bit, makes it look a wee bit. So we're going to add some colour. In fact, I think I might spray this first. Let me just get my water spray. Because I do want the colour to spray. Yeah, that will make a difference. I'm holding the card up in the hope that the paint will go through. Yep, it's doing that. But it's all a bit trial and error really with the colours, and see how it moves. I should maybe have added a little bit of stenciling up here, but I think we'll just go for a little bit of colour up here too. Let that run a wee bit. bit more along the bottom there. That's a little bit of the darker colour there. It's just really a gradual kind of build up of, I don't think I need any more water there. I think maybe I'll leave it at that. See how that dries, and then I can always add a little bit more if I think that it needs more. Okay, I'll just go and dry that and I'll be back in a sec. Hi. So it's nice and dry. I dried it with my heat gun, and I have picked out a few pieces of ephemera from my boxes that I showed you in the last video, and I have die cut this key. I used watercolour paper to die cut it from, so it should be okay. Just to give it a quick wash. We'll just see if we can get it roughly the colour that I used on the actual card. I want it to look quite kind of not solid, so I think that might do, because I'm going to also add, I've taken that off again, that do it? Yes, I think that'll do it. I'll just put these away, because I'm going to also add some, let's put the water out the way before we have an accident. Yeah, so add some gilding wax to the edges, make it a little bit gold, a little bit shiny. So, still water on the back there. Yeah, it's become a little bit floppy because of the water, but it'll be fine. So we'll just have a wee dab of this. Just a little bit around the edges, maybe a little bit in towards the middle. Just enough to give it a little bit of something. I don't know if that shows up. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I'll put that about there. And while I'm here, I think we'll go around the edges. And that just pulls the key in to the actual card. Adds a little layer of texture. There we are. So that looks quite good. So we've got all our, now we've got gold fingers for the rest of the day. So that was gilding wax. So we've got our key and all our little bits. I'm just going to go around the edge using vintage photo of all my pieces, because they've got a little white edge that I don't really want on these when I put them on. I think I'm going to have that one there. And I'm going to have that one there. Now the key I'm going to put up here. And if I should put a little bit of this on here too, just to darken the edges a little bit. Yeah, that's better. So the key's going on there. We'll just do this too. So I'm just going to have a little bit of collage with the key and that number and this tiny little butterfly. And then we've got our words from the book, and we'll put that around a bit there. Yeah. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get them on. Put that one there. So this one's a little bit more grungy than the first two, with the paste and the colour being added, but I think it's good to have a play around with different techniques and different using different bits from your stash. Yep, it's a little bit more messy than the other ones, but that's okay because I don't want them all to be the same. I want to try and make each one and add something different to each one. Now where were we going to put this across here? Yeah. Oh, the back of this one hasn't really survived the gilding wax, but that's okay. Okay, so I think that's us done. Yeah, you see that? So that's number 3. There's number 2, and there's number 1. And I'm pretty pleased with how this is going, and hopefully I'll be back with number 4 quite soon. Bye for now.